Alright, picture this, India, 1658. The Mughal Empire, a shimmering behemoth built on wealth, power, and a surprisingly tolerant approach to religion, is at its zenith. Then comes Aurangzeb. He inherits a throne, but he also inherits a different vision, one that will ultimately unravel the very fabric of the empire he rules. He was the last of the great Mughals, sure. But greatness doesn't always equal goodness, or even wisdom. Imagine a ship captain, dead set on a new course, even as storm clouds gather and the crew whispers warnings. That was Aurangzeb. He threw a wrench into the engine of tolerance. Akbar, his predecessor, had built an empire on religious harmony, a delicate balance of faiths. Aurangzeb? He saw things differently. He was a devout Sunni Muslim, and he was determined to make his empire a reflection of that faith, no matter the cost. Think of it, the Jizya tax, abolished for a century, suddenly reappears, squeezing the non-Muslim population. Imagine the resentment, the feeling of being singled out, of being treated as a second-class citizen. People, especially Hindus, fled, and some took refuge with the British in the East India Company area. And it wasn't just taxes. Temples, ancient and revered, were torn down, replaced with mosques. In Mewar alone, 240 temples were destroyed. Can you imagine the outrage? This wasn't just about bricks and mortar, it was an assault on their beliefs, their history, their very identity. It's like someone demolishing your ancestral home, brick by brick. Then there's Guru Tegh Bahadur, the ninth Sikh Guru. A man of peace and respect. Aurangzeb demanded he convert to Islam. When he refused, he was executed. The result? The Sikh community rose up in rebellion, adding another fire to the already raging inferno. The country was ablaze. It wasn't just the Sikhs. The Jats, Satnamis, Rajput, and, of course, the Marathas, all fighting the Mughals now. Every rebellion bled the empire dry. Aurangzeb, obsessed with control, focused on military expansion. The Deccan, the southern part of India, became his obsession. He swallowed the sultanates of Bijapur and Golconda. Victory? Sure. But at what price? Imagine the Mughal treasury, hemorrhaging gold to fuel these relentless campaigns. The army got bigger and bigger, and the cost of maintaining them, and administering all the conquered lands, became suffocating. Tax collection was bad enough, but Aurangzeb made sure his Hindu subjects paid even more than his Muslim subjects, 5% compared to 2.5%. People did not like that. It drained the coffers and the spirit of the people. Meanwhile, the empire crumbled elsewhere as he lost focus, like Bengal and Punjab. And then there were the Marathas, led by the legendary Shivaji and his son Sambhaji. They were like a persistent, stinging swarm, refusing to be crushed, constantly harassing the Mughal forces. They tied up Aurangzeb for so long. His reign was a master class in centralized, autocratic rule. Sounds efficient, right? Wrong. It became a bureaucratic nightmare. Local problems were ignored as everything had to go through him. Everything? This system was so rigid that it strangled the empire's ability to adapt and respond to its needs. It was like trying to steer an ocean liner with the rudder chained. Fast forward to 1707. Aurangzeb dies. And what does he leave behind? A shattered empire. The very foundations, weakened by intolerance and endless war. The rebellions sowed the seeds of fragmentation, with groups like the Marathas, Sikhs, and Rajput eager to carve out their own kingdoms. And worst of all, a succession crisis. Weak rulers followed, each less capable than the last, squabbling over a shrinking piece of the pie. Within 50 years of Aurangzeb's death, the mighty Mughal Empire had essentially disintegrated. It's like watching a magnificent palace crumble to dust. And this disintegration allowed new forces to rise, most notably the Marathas and, increasingly, the British East India Company, forever changing the destiny of India. So, Aurangzeb. A complex figure. A devout man. but also a man whose actions, driven by religious zeal and a thirst for absolute control, ultimately paved the way for the downfall of one of history's greatest empires. His story is a grim warning about the consequences of intolerance, the perils of overextension, and the enduring power of resistance. It's a story of how a king can destroy everything he built.
Subscribe to stay updated on more fascinating historical discoveries and hidden stories. By subscribing, you'll be the first to know about our new videos, behind-the-scenes content, and community updates. Plus, it's a great way to support the channel.